Hello, and welcome to the podcast where good trivia is rewarded and lies are punished. But will we catch the lies? This is What's the Fact?
No lies will be caught on my watch, that's for sure. My name's Ryan Whistle. This is Warren Robertson, and it's great to have you with us. How are you doing, Warren?
Very good. We're getting super polished at that start. If we could just do the rest of the show with that much professionalism.
Don't put your hopes on it.
Yeah.
But we'll give it a go. By episode
800.
Yeah, there's speaking of lots of episodes, our next episode talks about a lot of episodes because it's sitcoms. But for today, it's not sitcoms.
No, today it's treasures.
Treasures.
Which actually, when I heard it, I sort of shat myself a little bit because I thought initially it was just be a bit boring, but the same sort of thing, you know?
Yes.
But then again, and I say this quite a lot. You dig into any topic, and there's stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
There's hidden things, and there's things that you suddenly start thinking about that you haven't thought about in years.
Yeah, I'm finding that sometimes when you go broad, you don't know where to start. But when you go a little bit narrower, suddenly you go deeper and it gets, oh my gosh.
Narrow and deeper. Are we talking about research still here, Ryan? What are we discussing?
You know me, I like it narrow and deep.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Speaking of narrow and deep, there's got nothing to do with narrow
Tall
and
and
deep.
long, maybe?
Big shout out to Woodstock Brewery, the sponsor of 6 beers an episode, to the hosts.
I know. You can't tell we're drinking that much, can you? 6 beers each. It's a ridiculous amount. No, but thank you very much, Woodstock Breweries. We appreciate it. I'm drinking the Session IPA.
Me.
Because I've realized that if I'm going to drink 6 beers an episode, I better start with a slightly lower alcohol one, right?
Me, the lovely lager. And it is a lovely lager.
Good deal. You know how I started the researching for this thing? Was I started thinking to myself, what are my favorite stories about treasure? And obviously the first thing you think about is kind of Treasure Island, and then I realized that actually there's quite a few like movies that I've enjoyed particularly about treasure, and I'm going to start with an absolute classic of the genre. Right, The Goonies.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
The Goonies. Did you ever watch The Goonies?
I did watch it when I was a kid. I haven't watched it since. I think I'd like to just watch it again. Yeah, it's a nice nostalgic thing. Yeah.
That's it. But it's one of those where it's marginally ruined by the fact that Corey Feldman has subsequently grown up to become a lunatic.
Oh.
If you haven't followed the career of Corey Feldman, do yourself a favor, pause this for a second and go and watch his music videos. They are
Who was Corey Feldman? The big kid.
No, he's the dark-haired kid. He always played the main it was the two Corys. It was Corey Feldman and I can't remember the other Corys.
So he went into music. But he must be our
Corey
age,
Feldman, Yeah. But he's clearly got a bit of a thing for Michael Jackson because he tries to be Michael Jackson, claims that it just happens that they share an artistic vision. He's not trying to rip Michael Jackson off. He's not ripping off one of the most towering and influential musicians of all time. He just happens to have the same artistic vision as Michael Jackson. Anyway, well worth going to go and watch. I love a terrible music video, and Corey Feldman is blessed with many. But in the meantime, so now back to the era where Corey Feldman didn't make you want to cringe yourself to death. The Goonies was absolutely fabulous movie about obviously about treasure hunting, about kids who find a treasure map and they go and see if they can find, I think it was One-Eyed Willie's treasure. Yeah. Sean Astin was in that as well. You know, Sean Astin is Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings.
Oh wow!
Now he's in Stranger Things. Anyway, my fact about it is that Goonies, the movie The Goonies, takes place in the same universe as the horror comedy The Gremlins. Sorry, just Gremlins, not The Gremlins.
Yes.
They're The Goonies and Gremlins.
Wasn't that a beautiful era of cool movies?
Yeah.
The same universe, eh? Wow. You know, it's like, man, I mean, if you think of even Never-Ending Story, you know, how beautiful that was. It starts with this kind of world, and then the guy, it's just a little suburbia, little world, little thing, and then he opens the thing, goes into another world, and kind of
Narnia-esque.
Yes, and very Goonies. Also, by the end of it, you're in a whole new world. Same as what's the other one that was? Yeah, I think there was the kind of Chinese shop or Asian shop.
Oh,
in
in
Goonies.
Gremlin.
In Gremlins, yes.
Yeah,
That's where they got the little thing, and
That's
then
right.
next thing, all hell breaks loose. Love it. I have no idea. I'd love to know. I should know, but I don't.
I mean, it
I'm
seems
going
sort
to
of
take a
ridiculous, doesn't
stab at it, and I'm going to say, I think you're telling the truth. Goonies, Gremlins occupies the same narrative universe.
I don't
talking
like to
shit.
open. Yeah, I don't like to open with a lie. You know this about me, and I'm not opening with a lie today. I'm telling you the truth. It is absolutely true, and it's not even just a fan theory. It's not even just a thing where people have noticed similarities between the worlds. It's actually in the movie. So when Chunk phones the police to try and complain, one of the policemen sort of assumes that he's pranking. And says to Chunk, he says, "No, this is just one of your regular stories, like that one about the little creatures that multiply when you pour water on them." Thereby implying that Chunk has at some point tried to call the cops about gremlins, and yeah, unfortunately been rebunked. Yeah, so that's a pretty nice fact. I thought it was, and at the end they find the treasure, and they find my friends for many years after that were called Sloth. I don't know if you remember old Sloth. He was like a half creature, half monster.
Yes, toward the end.
That lived chained under
frightened.
Yeah.
Frightening thing. Frightening thing, yeah. It was like a baby. It was like a giant baby.
Like a giant.
Oh, he was frightening. That thing gave me nightmares.
But then it turned out he worked with them. He was a good guy at the end. Oh, spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't
but
seen
you're talking Goonies now, hey?
Yeah.
Sloth from Goonies. Yeah. And at the end, I remember there was this awesome water slide, and then they landed in this...
That's right, an underground cave. Spoilers.
Yes, and full of, you know what?
A giant pirate ship is what it was full of. You know that the reaction of the kids as they see that pirate ship, they'd kept the pirate ship hidden from the kids. They hadn't let them see it. So that reaction in the movie is their actual reaction to seeing a real life. Like, can you imagine being a little kid and you see these like a real pirate ship? Yeah. Anyway.
That's fantastic. It's a great opening fact. What a lovely, nostalgic Goonies opening fact. Now, it's time for my fact. So, if you'll please turn to Exodus chapter 25.
Of course.
Verses 31 to 40.
A chance to just make some conversions.
Me read from the scriptures. Now, listen carefully. This is all about the fact. Make a lampstand of pure gold. Exodus 25, 32 to 41. Exodus 20. You know what happens there?
No.
It's the 10 commandments. So this is 5 chapters later. Make a lampstand of pure gold. Hammer out its base and shaft, and make its flower cups, buds and blossoms of one piece with them. 6 branches are to extend from the sides of the lampstand, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. 3 cups shaped like
menorah.
Yes, 3 cups. And there's the whole thing from Exodus 25. 32 to 41, all about instructions how to make the menorah. And that leads to my fact. There was apparently Solomon's temple had many, like 7. And then there was the
7 menorahs.
Yes.
There's many menorahs.
Many menorahs.
Is menorahs, menorahs.
It's probably got a nice Hebrew kind of menorishki.
Maybe it's just menorah.
Yeah.
7 menorah. I'm just going to imagine it's menorah.
Menoryatskas. And it's making up words now. And so then the Babylonians think they took those 7. But the second temple, of course, the sacking of Jerusalem in 70 AD by the Romans, there was one giant menorah, a big one, and that is today you can see it at the National Roman Museum, also called the Palazzo Massimo alla Terme.
People don't talk about the fact that nations other than England stole a lot of artifacts from places, right? Like people, like the British Museum comes under a lot of flack, and rightfully so, for the sheer quantity of shit that they've stolen and refused to give back. But it's not like they were the only ones. These guys obviously plundered this menorah from a temple.
Yeah.
And so what's the
fact here? Is that you can see it today in Rome.
Okay, so it's an actual
National Roman Museum, also called the Palazzo Massimo alla Terme. And yes, have you been to Rome?
Yes, I've been to Rome. I haven't seen the giant menorah. I'm not an American. I think these are the kinds of things that attract Americans. Like Americans love the world's biggest ball of yarn. You can find it on the I-96 between, like Texas and the world's biggest hamburger. South Africa, of course, has got the world's biggest pineapple.
Do we?
I've forgotten the name of the town. It begins with a B. Bell.
Eastern Transvaal. Look at me.
That's right.
Look at
That's
me
right.
being
There you
naughty.
are.
Mpumalanga.
Not Eastern Transvaal, Eastern Cape, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so, yes.
Biggest pineapple.
Sorry, I thought you said Eastern Cape.
Bit of a treasure.
Yeah. Anyway, but Americans love a big thing. That's how the Romans should advertise that. Come see the world's biggest menorah. Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm sure it's worth an absolute fortune. Do people want it back?
That's a hell of a question.
I'm pretty sure somebody wants it back.
That's a hell of a question.
I mean, anyway, I think it's there. I think you've also opened by telling the truth uncharacteristically. I think it's in Rome.
Well, I started reading from scripture, and so you'd think the truth would follow my tongue. It didn't. The serpentine tongue of this.
Oh, you lied again, Ryan. You open with a lie every time. Every time I can see a flaw in my character here, Ryan, because every single time you open with a lie, and every time I have hope for you, and your everlasting soul. I hope that this is the time that you will, as a pure Christian, step forward into the light and behave yourself. But no,
it's the lying lager that's making me lying. There's a lovely lager that makes one lie. No, I'm lying, and here's why. Biblical tradition holds that Solomon's temple was home to 10 menorahs, plundered by the Babylonians. Second Jewish temple, the menorah was taken to Rome. The Arc of Titus, which still stands today, famously depicts the menorah being carried away by the triumphant Romans, along with other spoils of the destroyed Second Temple. So there's this
they've carried it away, but it's missing.
So no, the Arc of Titus is a what is it? Is it a sort of not a painting? It's a sort of sculpture.
Oh, it's an arch.
Is it?
Well, I would imagine so.
It's the arch.
It's an arch of Titus.
Yeah, but there's it's like 3D vibes happening.
Okay.
3D, you can see, and they're actually carrying the menorah. And on the arch, they can see them carrying the 7. It's the menorah.
The dude who's like the court photographer, the court stenographer.
Yeah.
I can see you. Quickly. I'm putting your face in the stone, you bastards.
Quickly before the party begins, because when these oaks get hammered, they're gonna. And that is all that exists. Traces of the temple menorah have been lost in late antiquity. It's missing. It's lost. The menorah is lost, but the actual. Not only is there certainly historical evidence written somewhere that they stole it, but there's the ark, not the arch. The ark, or the arch of Titus shows the Romans stealing the menorah, but it's gone.
They say, I mean, look, let's be honest. People could have made it up. They could be like, you know what? Let's pretend we had a really big menorah and those bastards stole it.
They got into the temple, there was nothing.
Those bastards, they nailed a bunch of us to crosses and they took our giant menorah and I'm putting it in this archway. I'm so furious. I'm so angry about this fucking menorah.
Poor buggers.
Buggers. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's missing from antiquity. And
it's very sad.
Interestingly, I'm going to discard a
sad.
fact I had in favor of going in a different direction now, because I kind of like what you did. Indiana Jones.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yes.
Right. I mean, obviously, you can see how I'm making this leap here.
That's lovely.
Right. So my fact is Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's about looking for kind of lost biblical artifact.
Yeah.
And my fact is that the Ark you see in Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, was built to the exact specifications as determined in the Bible.
Wow.
Because obviously that's also Exodus. They determined.
Yes.
In
Yeah,
Exodus,
big
it
time.
Explains, yeah.
Yeah, probably around those same sort of verses, around same sort of chapters. Yeah. So much for chilling in the desert, No, you're gonna get cracking. But we'll need some serious things.
Yeah. But look, I mean, the thing is, it's not going to be very big, right? Because it was supposed to be about 1.30 meters, so about so much, by about 80 centimeters by about 80 centimeters, so not very big.
But there was this cherubim,
and then they had the cherubim on the top, and obviously the loops for the poles to go through for them to carry it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that yes, they nailed it. They would have done it spot on. I need to watch that movie again. My favorite was always Raiders, the Temple of Doom.
Oh, really? Because
I
the
love
Temple of Doom is largely regarded as the weakest of the initial trilogy.
It's
So
fun.
yeah,
It's great,
I mean,
man.
the Temple of Doom, interestingly, is the reason we have a PG-13 rating.
Seriously.
Because before that there was kind of like, either children can't watch this, or there was the R-rated, 2 to 18. There was no like middle ground. And they looked at this movie. They looked at the first one. They looked at Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they sort of said, "Oh, his face melts off. This is a little more hectic than children can watch this, but it's not so bad that adults can't, should be warned about it." So they let it pass for children to watch it. They just kind of went, "All right, well, parental guidance, that's fine." And then when the second one came out, and then they had the scene with Kalima, where he tears the guy's heart out of
That's right,
his beating heart out of his chest.
Yeah.
And they eat the chilled monkey brains.
Oh, yes.
Which, by the way, was cranberry juice and custard. Then they eat the chilled monkey. So all of that stuff.
But it was really gross because they just
decapitated them. Chilled monkey brains.
Oh, yeah.
And
that scene with...
But yeah, so they created PG-13 ratings specifically for Temple of Doom to kind of say, listen, this is slightly more hectic than a children's movie, but it's not quite the R rating of some more serious movies. Wow. So yeah, but anyway, that was a total. That was just really me showing off. Really, is what that was.
Yeah.
But you believe that the temple, the Ark of the Covenant in Raiders of the Lost Ark was
made to measurements.
Made to measurement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the truth is it was.
Was it?
It was, yeah. The Bible is quite specific about it. As I say, that it gives you the measurements, and it tells you that it's got the 4 corners and what each must be on each of the corners and how the thing must be done. And then God even says that he's empowered a guy by the name of Bezalel, I think it is.
It's like a goldsmith or something.
Yeah, well, he's given this guy all the knowledge necessary, all the woodcrafting knowledge, the gold knowledge, the things to build this ark for the 10 commandments to reside in.
Wow.
So yeah, that's another. I mean, there's a lot of these biblical things that are missing. Like the Holy Grail, also an Indiana Jones plot line.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the cup. The cup that caught his.
Well, I mean, interestingly, so a grail, as they would have understood it back then, wasn't actually a cup. We understand it to be a cup. But back then, it was probably more likely like a serving tray.
Oh,
that you used to serve things.
Was it from the Last Supper, or was it? What's the significance?
I used to use it to ski down slopes covered in snow.
the holy toboggan.
Yeah, I just
the holy toboggan.
Yeah, no, yeah. So it apparently was at the Last Supper. But you are right. The myth has grown that it is a cup that then they used to catch Christ's blood when his side was pierced.
Oh, I see. Oh my word!
But yeah,
the 13th century they went nuts for relics. They
loved
absolutely
them. They loved a bit of
nuts for relics.
They loved the finger bone of Jesus like nobody's business. Like if you've toured the cathedrals in Europe, a lot of them have got these quite hectic relics on display. And I mean, the one in Bruges is supposed to be
Belgium,
Jesus's blood.
Seriously?
Because what happens is overnight it sets, and then at some point during the day it runs again. And obviously the church won't let scientists open it, but what they figure is it's a chemical thing that once it reaches a certain temperature, it becomes very soft, and then. But yeah, you can actually go and see this from a distance in the church in Bruges. But and loads of the churches have got finger bones. I'm thinking like that Melk Monastery's got a lot of relics, a lot of deceased bishops as well. You can see their bodies just lying out there in the open.
Yikes!
Yeah. No, they definitely
they went nuts for it, eh?
Yeah, they must be. Jesus must have had 100 arms. Like just so many fingers, so many finger bones, and shards of the cross. There's enough shards of the cross to build a boat. I can
Wow! Of course, the shroud of Turin is because there was the cloth that covered his body. And
which has subsequently been proven to be a fake, right? So
to be a 13th century
reproduction. Well, But yeah, I think I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark. I genuinely I think it's amazing. But I think Indiana Jones as a character in that movie is possibly the most useless protagonist you've ever seen in your entire life. Because what does he actually do? He fails to get the Ark. He fails to stop him. You know, he and is her name Marion?
The blonde one.
Yeah,
Was that from Temple of Doom?
No, yeah, I think that's Temple of Doom. I think he and Marion land up getting captured, and he can't free them. If essentially the thing that eventually destroys the Nazis is the fact that they find the Ark, and then they open it just like they would have done anyway, and it's the act of opening the Ark that destroys them. So I don't know what Indiana Jones does, but man, whatever he did was charismatic, and I liked it. I liked watching him punch a Nazi.
He's very cool. Yeah, man, I got to watch that again. Well, that's a nice fact, and you were telling the truth. Very good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with. I mean, didn't at some point was he in Egypt in Raiders of the Lost Ark at some point?
Yeah.
Because there was that scene. There's a scene with as he lands, there's a cobra pops up.
Yeah, that's right.
And then someone challenges him to a sword fight, and he pulls out the old.
You know the story behind that, right? Is that they all got very sick when they were filming, I think, in Tunisia, and they all got upset stomachs. And on that day, Harrison Ford had an upset stomach, and they were supposed to film an epic sword fight, but Harrison Ford showed up really sick, and he was just like, "Listen, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to have this thing, and then I'm just going to shoot him." Yeah, and it turns out to be one of the defining scenes of the movie.
That's brilliant.
Anyway, I can talk about Indiana Jones all day. Let's not do that.
Well, we're in the vicinity. I'm going to talk about a lovely treasure of the world, Tutankhamun's tomb. A bit of a side fact. His mother is simply known as the young lady.
Oh. I mean, all right.
That's my fact.
Oh, that's your fact?
Yeah, that's my fact. Yeah.
I mean, he was young, right? He was 13 or something when he died.
Yeah. I have read a very excellent book, probably controversial in the whole Egyptology world, called, and the guy's not religious. In fact, quite the contrary. But he's got a theory.
He's a lunatic. No, there's a lot of lunatics with theories. Is it
it's called the Act of God. It's not Hancock. I think he mentions Hancock. I think he likes Hancock.
Of course he does.
It's called the Act of God. But he thinks he solved some serious mystery that links the 10 plagues with what was Atlantis, the lost city of Atlantis, and yet another one, Tutankhamun's sort of tomb. Because there was in the Valley of the Kings. Have you been to Egypt?
No, I have not.
So I know you well traveled, but you haven't done Egypt.
I haven't been to Egypt, no.
The Valley of the Kings is like, there was a few fascinating mysteries. Yeah, I think it's the plagues, Atlantis, and there's this one crazy
What is this?
tomb.
What is this? I want to know
This
what
is
are
a
you doing
tomb.
there? What are
This
you
is a
doing there,
crazy-
man? What are you
this is-
playing with there?
It's a movie. It's inside the Valley of the Kings.
Yeah.
There was a crazy, that's how the book starts, a crazy tomb that is completely walled up. And like when they opened it, they like Tutankhamun's tomb, expecting to see 5,000 beautiful things of gold or glorious things. No, this was like dead empty, just with a liver in a kind of jar.
You know, sometimes the more they build these things up, the worse they are. Did you ever hear about Al Capone's safe? There was a TV special that found Al Capone's safe, and they were going to get a cracker to crack it open. And then
Yes, didn't they do it on live TV?
Yeah, they did it on live TV to see what was inside. Yeah, and then there was bugger all inside. It's the same as Tutankhamun's tomb, though, of course. What there was inside is the curse of Tutankhamun's tomb, right? Yes. Which then allegedly knocked off the members of the expedition over the subsequent next decade or so. You know what also knocks off people over the next decade or so is just fucking life. Yeah, malaria, sadness, life. You know,
it was kind of shame. He had a few bouts of malaria. He had scoliosis. He walked with a cane, and some of Tutankhamun.
At 13. At 13,
but he died 13.
He died very young.
Didn't he have
the
kids?
Boy King. No, he's the Boy King.
Didn't he have some kids? No, didn't he have some kids?
No, I think you're thinking about somebody else. I'm pretty sure Tutankhamun's the Boy King. We are about to. I wish we. This is where we need to call Dietz in. Dietz, we need to call you in. We need a. Ryan appears to be going
Look,
crazy.
my fact is merely that his
Mother was called the young lady.
yeah.
No, man, they'll know who his mother is. I mean, they'll know maybe that was her nickname, but she's not only known as the young lady. That's some bullshit there, Ryan. Like, he was a pharaoh. He was a pharaoh.
He was.
Like, we can track this shit.
I'm being a fair as well.
Yes, this is fucking angry now. No, man, they write it on the walls. They write, like, you know, all those weird pictures.
Yeah.
Those are called hieroglyphs, and they write the history and the name and his story and everything on the wall. I'm pretty sure they didn't just write the young lady on the wall because that makes her sound like she was a prostitute. She definitely wasn't. As the mother of a pharaoh, she was without a doubt an extremely important person.
Okay, we're gonna have some judge, jury, executioner problems with this fact. I can foresee.
Oh,
so you're saying it's are you saying?
I'm saying you're talking shit, Ryan. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm afraid I'm telling the truth.
Okay.
Tutankhamun's mother is simply known as the young lady. His father is believed to be the pharaoh Akhenaten. I know a lot about that. That was very weird. Yeah, I mean, you know, believe it or not, his dad, there was this thing that, like, the theory goes that the dad saw the 10 plagues, which could have been caused by the Atlantis disappearance and the big.
No, it wasn't caused by that, Ryan. Like, don't make me.
No.
I'm trying so hard to ignore that and make it go away.
There was red because of the explosion in Atlantis. There was red dust in the air, and that caused the river to turn red. And then that caused the fucking locusts to.
Do you want me to say that I hate you, right?
No.
Is that what you want?
But then this is in the guy's theory. But Akhenaten, like, he changed the religion of Egypt from whatever their gods were to worshipping Aten, which is like a monotheistic thing. And Tutankhamun then apparently changed it back to whoa, and even moved the capital from wherever Akhenaten was back to Thebes.
Okay.
So that was his dad.
This boy king.
I think so.
Tutankhamun did.
But yeah, so Akhenaten, that was his dad, identified as mummy found in tomb KV55. His mother is his father's sister, identified through DNA testing as an unknown mummy, referred to as
an unknown mummy.
The younger lady.
Yeah. The unknown mummy.
She's referred to as the younger lady who was found in KV35. The old man in cave. It's like a hotel.
Yeah.
It's like, what room is it? I'm in KV55. I'm in KV35. So
no, I mean, he's one of the more famous pharaohs, despite the fact that like, historically, I don't think he's a particularly impactful one because he was so young. But he's so famous because it was the first, like, really media followed driven kind of opening of a tomb of a pharaoh. You know? It was really followed in the media of the age as this big thing. And so I think Tutankhamun, he's got this aura around him that perhaps he doesn't necessarily deserve, you know?
Yeah, so the author of Acts of God questions why the dad changed the religion so drastically and shit. Like he says because he saw some shit happen. And it made
you should consider reading authors who aren't lunatics. Like, just casually, just try a book that's by someone who's got a PhD in something, you know?
Okay.
I mean, just
they're so long, those books.
I know, so many big words.
All those reference notes at the bottom. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Golly.
No, look, I think that there's a part of us, right, that desperately wants to believe in like that the world is mystical and magical. You know, I mean, things like Atlantis. I mean, this is going to be a deviation that we don't need, but Atlantis is, you know, Plato was the first person to mention Atlantis as being a place of technological advancement and excess, and how it sank beneath the waves. And according to him, it should be just in the Atlantic off the Mediterranean. But he said that it was an island the size of Africa. But he was, you know, a lot of people believe he was using it as a metaphor to kind of warn the government of the era that they were becoming too decadent, that there was too much like. And then subsequently, people like the guy who wrote that book,
Acts of God.
started kind of blowing it up,
Yes.
with their stories. The alchemists of the Renaissance era, particularly, they wrote like a lot of stuff about the technology of Atlantis, and people started searching for it. And some people have claimed that they've found it, and if I think it's Santorini. If you go to Santorini is now on the edge of what quite evidently a volcanic crater, and the rest of it has been blown away. So there's some mythology around Santorini that said that was perhaps Atlantis, and there's all these kind of stories about where Atlantis could have been and what it could have been. But ultimately, it started as a metaphor by one of the great philosophers. So whether it actually existed is by now irrelevant, I reckon, because that's kind of what enriches life, right? Is this mythology and this belief. But don't believe that. Don't, please. Don't read those guys. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a story about something else that was missing. So there is a treasure worth roughly £65 million is still lying to this day off the coast of St. Lucia.
Wow, that's a hell of a fact. Yeah, I think, I know a bit about William Kidd just from also reading about it recently. But I thought it was more sort of that wild coast area.
So William Kidd is one of the most famous pirates in the world, and a lot of South Africans don't know that he actually, did his trade around our coastline. And there's a lot of theory and a lot of talk about how he may have buried some of his gold along our shores, along our coastline. And he was a very successful, very famous pirate. But as you say, he was more the southern peninsula and around Cape Town, and when he was here. So but look, South Africa, it's known as the Cape of Storms. We've got the wild coast, skeleton coast. The reason for this is that there are
Skeleton Coast, Namibia, hey? On your way to Namibia.
So because all of these things are named after the fact that a lot of ships sank off the South African coast. And it's the sea is wild, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
So there are believed to be a lot of lost treasures. But what I'm specifically speaking about in this fact
65
is that it's rumored that there is a treasure to this day. This is one of the things. So to this day, there's a treasure worth 65 million British pounds lying off the coast of St. Lucia.
Yeah. The bits of William Kidd I read were that he spent a bit of time in Madagascar, a little bit, even Mozambique, or no, more Madagascar, but then sailed south. So I'm going to say yes, whether it's William Kidd or not, but I'm going to say for sure there was activity in that region, especially heading east. Man, you had Dutch East Indies, you had the British starting their thing, Portuguese even a century earlier. I'm going to say for sure. It's true.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. As I mean, there are said to be a lot of shipwrecks that still hold gold off the coast of South Africa. This particular one that I'm talking about is actually a relatively, I mean, in the stories of these sorts of shipwrecks, a relatively recent one, because it comes from the turn of the century. So just before the 1900s, so late 1800s, right? 1898, if I'm going to be specific. Now, you may have heard the rumors about Paul Kruger's gold, right? So everything kind of gets ascribed to Paul Kruger's gold. Whenever there's something from this era around the Boer War where there's a treasure hoard, some people are going to say it's Paul Kruger's gold. And what this story is about is that a ship by the name of the Dorothea left Delgoa Bay with 12 ammunition boxes and 3 leather bags filled with gold in its hull. And then what they did was they packed them around the mast and they cemented them in, and then they poured 200 tons of ballast sand over the top of that. And the reason they did this isn't necessarily because it's Paul's gold, as some people talk about. Quite a lot of news from the era call it Paul's gold, a lot of things call. But what it appears to be is that at the time there was a bit of a shifty thing going on at Rand Mines, and some of the people who worked at Rand Mines were selling gold off to illegal miners extra cheap. And what they were referencing it and keeping track of it, and they were selling it extra cheap. And these guys then took this gold in these 12 ammunition boxes and 3 leather bags, and they because they started to think that the cops were onto them, and they took this and they bought themselves this old rickety boat called the Dorothea, which was an old wooden kind of bark, is what the type of ship was called. And they loaded this stuff on, they cemented it in, and they took off from Delgoa Bay with the intention to try and get basically anywhere else. But it was such a rickety boat that they got hit by rough seas, sprung a leak, and sank off about 4.5 miles off the coast of St. Lucia. Now, if it was Paul's gold, they said it would be worth £650,000 at the time. But this new research, this kind of covered research, suggests that it is instead this illegal haul of gold, and that it's probably worth more than like £450,000 at the time, which is now almost 65 million pounds in modern money. Which is, I mean, you turn that into South African rands, you're looking at billions of rands. It's not small cash. But yeah, so we actually don't know very much about this ship. We do know that a lot of people have tried to go and subsequently find it. So in 1904, a ship by the name of the Penguin wrote in the Durban ledgers that it was going to sail to Delgoa Bay, but actually what it was doing was going looking for the Dorothea, and it was sunk in the rough surf. 11 guys died in the process of that happening, and then another 4 years after that, a ship by the name of the Alfred Nobel belonging to the South African Salvage Corporation went out there to look for it, but they said the sea was too rough. There was no chance they were ever going to be able to find it. And you get these stories, over the years, and then suddenly they stop. They stop in about, just before sort of World War II. There's photographs of people sitting on the beaches, in tents with the intention that they're going to swim out, they're going to row out, they're going to do whatever necessary to try and find Dorothea's treasure. And then these stories just essentially stop. And it's a difficult thing to imagine in the modern era where all the information is available, that we don't actually know what's happened to the Dorothea. There is a video on YouTube that a scuba diver has taken where he claims to have found the mast of the Dorothea, and it's very convincing. He's got the video and everything. But the problem is that the Dorothea, being a bark, would have had a wooden mast. And that mast is obviously iron. There's no way that the wooden mast would still be around. So the chances are, right, by all leading sources, that money is still off the coast.
You're about to start a treasure hunting shitstorm. Do you know that?
I hope so, but here's the awkward part, right? So by all accounts, that money's still there. There are international salvage companies that have the Dorothea listed on their websites as being a prime target, as being a thing that they can try and find. There are forums on Reddit and on Quora and on all these places where people discuss the Dorothea. They talk about what could actually be down there, which kind of gold is it, what the thing is. There's some stories that somebody found a bar of gold wrapped in copper once off the coast of St. Lucia, and they believe that this may be part of the treasure. Jeez. But nobody's ever named, right? So there's nothing concrete in terms of the search. And then there is one article on a community newspaper which automatically has me a little bit suspicious, right? And what it is this blows my mind, right? Because it's literally the only mention of the Dorothea for the last 80 years now. Somebody has literally written an article in which it's titled "The Hunt for the Japanese Submarine at Sudwana." It's in the Zululand Observer, and the journalist is by the name of J.C. van der Walt. And he opens up with the line, he says, "The same group of veteran scuba divers that discovered the wreck of the gold treasure ship Dorothea at Cape Vidal in May 1980 will hopefully regroup in 2017 to hunt for the wreck of a Japanese midget submarine dumped at Sudwana Bay on the 9th of July 1942. Hang on, what? The same group of veterans who did what? There is no mention anywhere in any of the world's press that I can find that mentions the Dorothea being found in May 1980. And listen, it's a turbulent time in South Africa's history. We were pretty much cut off from the rest of the world. Perhaps the information never got out. Perhaps people who salvage these things shut up about it so that they don't have to pay taxes to the South African government.
Because there's big laws, wreckages
Yeah, you
belong
have
to the at
you
least
have to share a
15%
percentage,
or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Shucks.
So whether it's out there or not is up for debate. Did this journalist did he meet the real scuba divers? Did he meet con men who make up bullshit stories about their scuba diving expertise? Because let me tell you, no Japanese midget submarine was ever found either. So there's been no news about that. There's literally just this one little standalone story that says the Dorothea was found, but was it? Who knows? If you know, contact us, please. I need to know the whole story. We'll do a follow up. We'll do the whole thing. But yeah, so technically there could be £65 million worth of gold off the Isimangaliso National Park.
And St. Lucia's is like crocs in the lagoon, and so it's not like a place where O's want to go, let's go and find this.
No, so this is, I mean, allegedly this would be up to 4.5 miles off the coast. You know, there's talk of specific reefs and whatever, but some of the reefs that are mentioned are far south of where this was originally believed to have been
Yeah, because
wrecked.
things move, eh?
So, well, you know, people, there seems to be contradictory reports, and some people are confused, and perhaps this is the reason why we're struggling to find it. The initial reports of the day all say it was off Cape Vidal. It was about 4.5 miles out to sea, and that it seems to have broken in such a way that half of it was inside of a reef, and the other half was on the outer wilder part of the reef. So, you know, that's what we know. If you want to, you know, maybe St. Lucia now deserves a bit more attention from holiday seekers again. I mean, I could use £65 million. All I'm asking is 1%.
Yes.
If you find this based off of this podcast, I'm asking just 1%.
Yes. And 15%
to the government.
Yeah.
I mean, already, you know.
Yeah. That's only 16. You keep the 84.
Yeah. What a bonus. What a bargain.
Well, it was a great, proudly South African, even though 4 Ks off the coast of South Africa, proudly
4.5
South
miles,
African.
So roughly 7
miles.
Ks.
7
It's
Ks,
quite
that's
far.
far. I've been on a cruise ship when we had to turn around because those waters were a bit rough. We're heading toward the Mozambican Channel, and there was a thing coming. Cyclone.
Oh, okay.
And
so not like a drunkenness, not a bubbleus, because that's normally what happens on those. Because you go out to those islands there, those Portuguese islands. It's one day out there, one day cooking in the sun on the beach, one day back. Everyone comes back feeling slightly sick. Next bunch of people on the cruise ship.
Yeah, that's how they do it, eh?
And then they try to sell it. They try to sell it like it's a romantic thing. They'll be like, "Oh, 5FM's having their ship party. Your fucking ship is correct. You should not be going out there on those boats."
I was having dinner on that cruise ship with Darren Moore and Chris Forrest.
Oh, you see, this is
Chris's wife. And there was
Chris's wife has a name, not
Tabitha,
the young lady. Yeah,
the young lady. When she's mummified, she's
she is mummified. She's got 2 kids.
Right. Well, I'm going to take us back into antiquity, and just a little bit after those oaks walked over the deserts, even though there's no evidence of that either.
You love your Bible treasures, eh?
Oh, big time! And guess where I'm going with this one?
Where? Don't tell me.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was discovered, I think, 40s maybe. Little shepherd boy found a thing in a cave. Qumran caves.
Those are the first ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my fact is that there's most of them are in the Israel Museum in Israel. But there's a bit of a political war about who they belong to. And so they're not all in the Israel Museum. Some are in the Jordan Museum. In Jordan. Amman, Jordan. That's my fact.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Scrolls
quite significant by now, the Dead Sea Scrolls, because as far as I'm aware, there are fragments from every single book in the Bible except the book of Esther. And then...
But you're talking, is it Old Testament or also New Testament?
No, I think it's
Old Testament. Hey,
yeah.
Old Testament.
Yeah, I think it's the Hebrew, the traditional Hebrew Bible. Yeah. So I think there's there's fragments. It shows just how old this particular story and mythology and religion is. And essentially your fact is that people are arguing about who owns these things.
Yeah, and they also are in different places.
Yeah, I
in
think
different
look,
countries.
I think
they're in
also,
more than one. They're not just in Israel.
Mm.
They're also in another country in Jordan.
I think they were found in. There wasn't just one find. There was an initial find, and then more sets of scrolls were found, and they were just kind of all generally labeled Dead Sea Scrolls. Whether they were part of the same set or not is, I think, irrelevant. So I can imagine that they're in different things, and I can imagine people fighting about it. I mean, the British Museum, as we say, won't give back the cultural icons of peoples where they know the people are there, they know this thing belongs to them, they know they've got nothing to do with it except for the fact that they stole it, and then they still won't give it back. So I wouldn't be surprised if these Dead Sea Scrolls are in more than just those two places, and that people. I wouldn't be surprised if the British Museum hasn't got one or two of them.
I wonder if there's a plan to slowly, like maybe they should build a nice museum in the land of origin and be part of a kind of transformative, collaborative curation of a new museum, and then the stuff gets taken there and there's a big ceremony. You could make a big party of it,
I
man.
promise you, if someone steals my bike, and they're like, listen, I'm prepared to come to your house and display the bike, I'll be like, absolutely, come do that. Bring the bike, put it in my house. Fuck you, get out. You're not coming back. Like, I'm not. Yes. So irritating.
I am, you're quite right on that fact. I am speaking the truth, and you got it right. Most of the scrolls held by Israel in the Shrine of the Book at the Israel Museum, but their ownership is disputed by Jordan due to the Qumran Caves history. So this is where it gets funny. Following the end of 1947, Jordan occupied the area in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. So Jordan occupied the area, and then Israel captured it back in the Six-Day War. But as a result, some of the scrolls are still in Jordan, now on display in the Jordan Museum in Amman. So it's funny, like the scrolls were found, I think in the early 40s, but because of that kind of, it's funny. So the British gave Israel, the land of Israel, a little bit, and then there was war. And then Jordan took a bit of it, and they said, "Oh well, we'll have some of those, thank you." And then there was the Six-Day War, and things. Then no, we'll have it back, thank you. So, and even Palestine disputes some ownership. The Palestinians' ownership of the scrolls is also contested by the state.
I'm not, far be it from me to make jokes about Palestine, but I think their entire thing is disputing ownership, right? Like the entire nation exists because they dispute ownership of basically everything. And they are right to do so. Like, I don't mind being political about it. Yeah. I mean, you can see how these things happen, right? And that's in a situation where land was legitimately kind of going back and forth. It would be like now, I suppose, if Crimean relics wound up in Russia, and then Ukraine now takes Crimea back, and then they say, "Give us our relics." And no, we owned Crimea when these relics were discovered. It's that same sort of.
Yeah, I mean, on that topic of this is linked to the fact a little bit, but what's sad is when, does it come up? Yeah, it comes up in a final fact of mine. Maybe I'll talk about it there. But what I'll talk about is how war is so sad for like treasured artifacts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
Oh yeah.
The invading armies are arseholes like the Romans, and it just hasn't stopped.
No,
it continues.
Yeah, we love a bit of plunder. It's like any opportunity to plunder a thing. That's what we love. Jesus. Oh my God, the opportunity to blow up someone else's relics. It gives us a semi.
That's why Alexander the Great conquered the whole world, because what the Persians did to the Acropolis.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You see.
Fuck you. I'll remember that.
Yeah. Well. But also that's why these things are so rare, right? We build stuff all the time. There's a reason why so few of them last 2,000 years, because we also like to break the other stuff. So like, oh, you built all this shit. Fuck you, I'm bombing it.
Maybe plastic cheap stuff is the answer to,
big no one's going to want to destroy that, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm coming back to South Africa for my last little fact. And I'm just gonna say it. The Cullinan diamond.
Yes,
Cullinan diamond
yes.
is, right? the biggest diamond ever discovered in the history of the
Absolutely.
world. It was given to the British royalty, and it was cut up, and it now forms, the major diamonds in the crown jewels. Anyway, my fact is that Cullinan diamond was only half of the original stone, and the other half is out there
Oh, no.
somewhere in South Africa.
No, that's bullshit. It's got to be bullshit. No, that's bullshit. It's quite a monster, and I know it was cut down probably by the best of the best, which is in Brussels.
It was 3,106 carats.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking enormous.
Where the best? They're in Antwerp, eh? Antwerp.
Oh,
Brussels?
where they cut it.
Yeah, I think probably.
Sure, I probably have that written down somewhere. I'll see if I can-
Your fact that what was given to the royal family was half the Cullinan diamond, the other half's out there. It's got to be a lie. It's got to be a monstrous lie. Look, in Antwerp, the cutters would have cut it to be something amazing. I'm guessing it was in Antwerp, and given it on the crown of jewels, all that stuff. Because diamond industry is very specific. It's like controlled by the London Diamond Trading Company, which is actually De Beers, proxy for De Beers. But and then they sent to Antwerp where they cut and then they delivered. It's like quite controlled. The American government even calls it a cartel.
But it's about whether it was that controlled.
Yes,
in
I
the
think
1900s.
I think no. There's no ways it was half the size. No lies. You've ended with a lie, monstrous lie.
Let me tell you a story.
Oh, story time with
Yeah.
Pappy.
On the 25th of January, 1905, a man
Yes.
by the name of Fred Wells was working at the Premier Mine, which is now Cullinan Mine, just north
Pretoria.
of Pretoria.
North
yeah.
of Pretoria, yeah. It's
Yeah.
where they have Opikopi or something. No.
No. It's not that far north. It's literally just half an hour outside of Pretoria. It's just north of Pretoria. There's a lovely brewery there called the Cockpit Brewery. Very nice.
Do you
place
know
to
where
go.
these lovely breweries
Yeah,
are?
a very nice place to go for the day. But it was called the Premier Mine at the time, and the guy's name was Fred Wells. Some people say that Fred Wells was shown where this particular diamond is by one of the guys working at the mine. But nonetheless, his daughter says that effectively, while her father was doing these routine inspections, he looked up on the side of the mine and saw glittering high up on the side of the wall this thing, and he got up there with his pocket knife and he pried it out of the rock. Yeah, and it turned out to be, diamond experts said it was an exceptional quality and huge diamond, right, which got named after Mr. Thomas Cullinan, who was the chairman of the company and the discoverer of the mine. And the diamond weighed, as I said, 3,106 carats. And I'm going to try and define this, right? Because it was 10 centimeters by 6 centimeters by 5 centimeters. Yeah. It was bought by the Transvaal government for £150,000 at the time, which is, it's a lot of money, right? Like, it's probably about 20 million pounds in today's money. And then it was presented to King Edward. It was then cut, as you said, by a man by the name of Joseph Usher into 9 major gems and various smaller brilliants. The 2 largest gems were retained for the crown jewels, and the rest were given to Usher for his fee. King Edward bought one of those for his consort, Queen Alexandra, and the people of South Africa, this is controversial, bought the other 6 major gems and presented them to Queen Mary in 1910. The largest stone that came out of the whole thing is 520 carat pear-shaped diamond. And it's the largest cut diamond in the world. This is known as the Cullinan 1, also called the Great Star of Africa, and it's in the Imperial Scepter on display in the Tower of London, right? So we know all of this. We know how great this is. But what we may not know is that when it was initially examined, the experts quickly noticed something odd with the shape of the stone. Sir William Crookes, the president of the Royal Society, said that the Cullinan represented probably less than 1/2 of the octahedral crystal. He said it had been broken.
What?
Now, here's an interesting story. Fred Wells had promised his wife when he moved her from Kimberley up to Cullinan, he'd said to her, I'm going to present you with the largest diamond in the world. So he promised her this, straight up. He made the family move
Did he know
to a town.
Did he have a hunch that he was going to get it, or was he just
the family, no,
a bit of a romantic?
So. I think it was a promise because he was moving the family from an established town to a town of 2 houses, of which he and his family got to have one of the houses, and then the mine owner got to have the other one. And I think he kind of said this to her as a, we're going here to go and make our fortune kind of thing. But now, what was clear to everybody who examined the cullinan was it had in fact been broken in half, and that the larger half
What?
was missing. So as I said, to give you some idea of the value of this, a 1,100 carat stone diamond found in 2015 sold for $53 million. This thing, if it exists out there, this 4,000 odd carats black rock, would probably be worth in the region of $300 million, because it's not just about size now in these things, it's about rarity as well. So $300 million is what this thing would be worth. So where is it? Where's this other half? Was it broken? What's happened to it? No, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you where it is. I'm going to tell you where people thought it was. There's some people, geologists, who say it could have been broken while it was well under the earth, and the other half is still waiting to be discovered. But two mining historians by the name of Hedley Chilvers and Eric Rosenthal have both individually investigated this story. And they've both got very similar stories that they believe is what's happened to the other half of this thing. They say that in 1907, the other half of the diamond was found, but it was stolen by a mine worker by the name of Johannes Paulus. One of them says that Johannes Paulus immediately looked to try and sell this. That he went out and he immediately he just wanted £1,000. He was like, I just want £1,000 for it. And he soon found a man by the name of Johannes Fourie who started sniffing around and wanted to buy it from him. Now, I think Chilvers said that Fourie was a bit of a criminal, and Rosenthal believes that Fourie was pretending to be a criminal, that he was in fact working for the Premier Mine themselves.
Wow.
But now Johannes Paulus agrees to go and meet with this Fourie character in a field, in a pitch dark field, somewhere between Cullinan and Pretoria. So that, as I said, it's a half an hour drive to this day. So it's not a massive area. But he agrees to meet Fourie. Fourie recounts that he saw the diamond. That in fact, Johannes Paulus has had the diamond. And that he handed over the sack containing the money. But now Johannes Paulus is suspicious. So he digs in the sack, and it turns out the sack is not just gold coins. The gold coins are just at the top. Most of it's washes. So he throws the bag to the ground and he runs off into the darkness. And Fourie and his men give chase. But because it's so dark, there's literally nothing there. Johannes Paulus vanishes. And that's the last time the diamond is actually seen. There are stories. Johannes Fourie continues telling the story of how he believes he's hot on the heels for the next 20 years. He talks about how he's hot on the heels. He's close. He knows where the diamond is. He thinks he knows where the diamond is. And then, unfortunately, what happens is he gets involved in another incident in the area. He gets caught up in kind of local tribe politics and winds up being executed after he's involved in the murder of a local chief by the name of Thomas Matibe.
Good grief.
So and the story dies with that. Nobody else after Johannes Fourie goes looking for the other half of the Cullinan diamond. What happened to Johannes Paulus? Nobody knows.
Wow.
But there's a Paulus family out there that has an ugly quartz rock that they're using to prop open a door that might be worth 300 million.
Because if that thing gets sold, someone's gonna know about it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, unless
it's hard to sell a diamond.
Right? Unless it gets cut into 10,000 different diamonds and sold off individually, and but somewhere
the
out
cutters are like, it's a high skill. It only happens, in Antwerp. Apparently.
I mean, there are cutters all around the world, but you're right. The best ones are in Antwerp. But yeah, this is so
like
it exists.
We're not talking about shaving parmesan here,
Yeah. People are talking about, they want to get the half of the Cullinan diamond back from the crown jewels. These have been stolen from us. No, let's find the half that's still here. It's even bigger than that.
Ooh.
Even bigger than that, and it's worth even more than that.
That's a great fact. A proudly South African fact.
Yeah, if somebody could cut me in on just 1%.
1%. You're getting 1% of the St. Lucia wreck.
Yeah.
1% of the missing half of the Cullinan diamond from the Paulus family.
That's right. If we can just get that, we
won't even need a sponsor.
Yeah, we'll buy our own damn beer. I mean, we'll still buy Woodstock
We
beers, though,
will.
'cause
We
they are
will.
good.
We'll bring the draft taps. The
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
line of them.
That's right. That's right.
What would you? What's that one
There
glass?
may even be a beer for Deets. You won't have to stand there sadly like a puppy dog watching us drink beer.
What's he saying?
It doesn't matter what he said. Who
That's
cares?
true.
Who cares?
Oh, I see him. Yes, in his little
You're masturbating in his
little black
cave, yeah.
room. Yeah. All right. Well, my final fact before multiple choice, and so my final fact before multiple choice time is I wanted to go with the allure of the pirate thing, and specifically to see what was behind the Pirates of the Caribbean in terms of treasure. If there was anything, and it turns out there's not a lot. There's one major one in terms of real treasures, and it's the Wider. Have you heard about that ship?
No.
The Wider. I've got some information about it. However, the captain of the Wider was captured by pirates. It was a Spanish galley, the Wider galley. Was it English? I'm not sure. This is a fact show,
It's called
right?
the Wider, which is a kind of bird.
Yeah.
I would guess it was named. It was British. I would imagine.
WHYDAH, Wider galley. Yeah, it was English. Yeah.
WYDAH, I think, if it's named after the bird. But
Is it?
I mean, I could be wrong.
There's an H
I
in there.
don't do any ornithology.
Yeah, but it is
filthy
a
pornithologists.
So, this was actually captured and as a treasure ship, and it sunk, full of treasure. And they actually found the treasure in 1985 or so.
Oh, well, brilliant!
in
I'm
the
glad that's
1980s.
all wrapped up there. Thanks for clearing
Yeah.
that up for us.
But it was a proper pirate takeover, hostile takeover by pirates.
Oh, I see, okay.
And it was actually Samuel Bellamy, also known as Blackbeard.
Oh,
That's my
really?
fact. Yeah.
No, Blackbeard's different name. His name is Edward Teach. Yeah. You see? There you go. No, thank you very much for this. Walking right into my knowledge about
Should've
my
mentioned the
pirate
name.
knowledge.
Should have
Yeah.
mentioned the name.
Yeah.
All right, well, fine.
But the thing is,
What do you
so
know?
what
What
you're
do you
saying
know?
is that, I mean, the Wider was effectively captured by pirates who
Yes.
then accidentally sank it,
Yeah.
or wandered into a storm
Yeah.
and sank it, and then
Yes, quite right. So, okay, so Blackbeard is a lie.
yes, it's a lie.
It's not a lie, but his name was Samuel Bellamy, and there's some beautiful things there. The Wider galley eluded discovery for 260 years until 1984. The wreck was found off the coast of Cape Cod. They knew that it was, which is Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So it was captured in the Caribbean, and then he sailed northwards, and major storm 4 miles off. Also, again, 4 miles off the coast. That's where they like to be. Yeah, 4 miles
I guess
off.
that puts you just over the horizon, right? So people can't see you,
Yeah.
as far as I'm
I think
aware.
so. But the Wider galley, it's called a galley, the Wider galley, definitely British, is the only fully authenticated Golden Age pirate shipwreck ever discovered.
What was the? Do you know what the treasure was worth?
Yes. No. I can tell you how much gold was on there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
4.1 tons.
4.1
Tons.
tons.
That's a shitload, eh?
Tons. They sell the shit
shitload.
by the gram. You know,
Yeah.
like if somebody said, yeah, listen, we found 4.1 tons of cocaine, you'd be like, what? That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. But they sell gold by the gram.
Yeah.
4.1 tons.
So there
That's
is a
many thousands of grams.
That's crazy. It's massive. There is a connection between Samuel Bellamy and Blackbeard. When he first got a job, sort of in the Florida area, he was born in Dover in England, and then went to the Americas. And then when he got a job in Florida, he worked on the ship for Blackbeard was like a second in command, and there was another dude. And then they actually said, we want to become pirates. And they all agreed. Everyone on the ship said, yes, we're going to be pirates. And then the captain, Longthorn, or I don't know what his name was, something like that, but Blackbeard was the second. They were like, let's attack that ship. And they're like, no, we won't attack British ships, only Spanish and French. And then it's like, no, come on. come on, like, no. And there was like, well, mutiny, boom. So they kicked off the captain and Blackbeard, and they went somewhere else. And Bellamy was voted the captain of the new ship.
I see.
Like a year on the job, they see this big thing, and the galley nailed it, sailed south, big storm, Cape Cod, shipwreck.
Sailed north, you mean, rather than south, surely, because they must have nailed it somewhere in the Caribbean.
North.
And then
They nailed it in the Caribbean.
yeah, and then sailed north. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Sailed north. And see how much, 1.5 beers in it. Yeah. But you know what's cool is there's a historian who he was quite a gracious pirate. So when he didn't like Soma killing people when he captured he negotiated. He's like, we'll take your gold. Do you want to join us? No? Well, then we'll let you go. But come and join us. So he actually asked a ship to a bunch of sailors that he'd captained or captured to join him. And they were like, no. And he has a famous speech. It's beautiful, which is captured by a historian named Captain Charles Johnson. And how's this for a speech? He says, I'm sorry. And they decided they don't want, for moral reasons, they don't want to join him on his pirate ship. And he's like, I'm sorry that they won't let you have your sloop again. So he sank their sloop. I'm sorry that they won't let you have your sloop again.
You got to sink a man's sloop.
Yes.
Can't let him sloop it up.
Yeah.
Can't let him sloop around the Caribbean
So
once you've taken all his treasure.
Listen to his Robin Hood type speech. Here. I'm
Okay,
sorry
okay,
that they
sorry,
won't.
I'm ruining the moment with all my stupid.
I'll say it in a trained pirate Bristol accent. I'm sorry that they won't let you have your sloop again, for I scorn to do anyone mischief when it is not to my advantage. Damn the sloop! We must sink her, and she must be of use, and she might be of use to you, though you are sneaking puppy, and so you are all those who will submit to be governed by laws which rich men have made for their own security, for the cowardly whelps have not the courage otherwise to defend what they have by knavery. But damn ye altogether, damn them for a pack of crafty rascals, and you who serve them for a parcel of hen-hearted numbskulls. They vilify us, the scoundrels do, when there is only this difference. They rob the poor under the cover of law, forsooth, and we plunder the rich under the protection of our own courage. Beautiful. Well, Robin Hoodish.
I mean, fair enough. If
Robin
it wasn't
Hoodish.
done in that outrageous accent, like I think, yeah, I can imagine him doing it, as you say, like a proper British, like a 1960s version of Robin Hood with that British accent,
Yes.
I say, forsooth, they plunder the poor under the cover of law.
We do it out of the protection of our own. And it's like a shame. Before Marx, there was Bellamy, saying,
I think
hey,
that
capitalism.
whole pirate thing was pretty socialist, like the guys used to look after each other. They used to spread the gold. As you say, you could at any point recall your captain and appoint somebody else to be captain. It was pretty open, and I think that was very attractive to people who quite often had been press ganged into the Navy or forced into jobs that they didn't really want. This kind of freedom. And that's one of the reasons why they say there is no pirate gold for the most part, because guys who captured a ship and got a bunch of gold, they weren't particularly well known for saving, for putting it towards a retirement one day. They weren't investors. They used to take their cut and go and spend it on the whores. And like so that's why they're like, oh yeah, but nobody was actually keeping that treasure and then burying it for like a happy retirement one day. They were like, no, we just risked our lives. Let's go get whores. Yeah, so it's interesting to hear that there actually was at least one, and the only reason it was discovered was because they hadn't arrived where they wanted to spend it on whores.
Yeah,
that's
Cape
essentially
Cod.
they were on their way to go and spend it on whores. They didn't get there, and that's why we've now subsequently been able to, in the 1980s, find this Wider's treasure. Because otherwise, those guys would have spent it all, would have gone everywhere.
Cape Cod rings a bell. I think it was the launch pad for that movie Perfect Storm. I seem to think. Have you seen that movie? Oh,
I have. I've seen it.
True story and hectic story. I think it was Cape Codish as well.
Right. Are we on to multiple choices?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right, this is a silly one. I'm closing with a silly one. Okay. Which of these fictional characters was not in the top 5 richest fictional character list put out by Forbes in 2012? And the reason I'm going to mention this is because all of them have got very obvious treasure hoards, right? Like they've all got obvious amounts of ridiculous, silly fictional character wealth. All right, so which of these 5 was not in the top 5 on that list? Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman. Flintheart Glomgold from DuckTales. He's the one who's slightly richer than Scrooge McDuck.
Oh.
And who, interestingly, apparently lives in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Really?
Yeah, Flintheart Glomgold is the richest South African in the history of the world. Carlisle Cullen from the Twilight series.
Oh, my God.
Jed Clampett, the Beverly Hillbilly himself. And Tony Stark, Iron Man. Which of those 5 is not in the top 5 richest, according to the Forbes top 5 richest fictional characters list?
Wow, what a great fact. So even in the narrative world, in their universes they occupied, Forbes said that
Forbes has
got
gone,
actually a lot of money.
That's right. They've analyzed the amount of cash they've got. In the case of somebody like Flintheart Glomgold and Scrooge McDuck,
Yeah.
where they've got actual
Well, he
literal
swam in his gold. He swam in
Scrooge
his gold.
McDuck swam in his gold.
Yeah,
They literally
So
they
would-
worked out how big a duck is, and then they worked out how big that particular tower needs to be, and how deep it must be, and
Oh, what
how
a
much
great
gold he
assignment.
must actually have. Yeah.
What a great
Yeah, so,
assignment.
and then Flintheart Glomgold is obviously known by Scrooge McDuck to be richer than him, so that's why they've included Flintheart Glomgold here.
Well, I'm going to say the vampire who lives in the forest. I like the Twilight series.
Oh,
I must
Carlisle
confess.
Cullen?
No, I don't think he lives in a forest. He's a doctor, man.
All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're gonna notice who the missing
All right,
person
all
is.
right.
Right at number 5, Tony Stark, apparently worth $9.3 billion.
You're going from richest to poorest.
I'm going from poorest to richest. Yeah.
Stark, 9.3 billion.
Yeah. Jed Clampett at number 4, worth $9.8 billion. His source is obviously the oil and gas that his family found before they moved to LA as the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh,
At number 3, I've got bad news for you, is Carlisle Cullen,
what?
worth $36.3 billion.
Why?
Because his source is compound interest and investments over 371 years as a small town doctor and immortal vampire. Once you've got
bullshit.
371 years to work as a doctor, you can make quite a lot of cash.
He didn't have assets. He didn't have. He had the house and the.
No, the color. No. It's not Edward. Edward's his son. Yeah, Carlisle's.
Fuck,
the-
man.
Yeah, Flintheart Glomgold is at number 2. Yeah, South Africa's richest person ever.
He's a duck.
Shout out to Flintheart. We're looking for a sponsor. If you're a real duck rather than just
He needs to
animated.
hide money in their couch
Yeah.
when you can swim in your swimming pool of your own gold coins.
That's right. That's right. And at number 1 is not Bruce Wayne, who isn't on the list.
Oh,
It's not Bruce Wayne. It's Smaug, the dragon from The Hobbit,
Beautiful.
who's worth apparently $62 billion because he's lying on a hoard of literal treasure, which is why I included him in this.
Wow. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Smaug.
So there he is,
So Bruce Wayne didn't
Smaug
make
the
it.
dragon, the richest fictional character in the history of all fictional characters.
It's a very tall building. Doesn't Bruce Wayne own the whole building?
I mean, Bruce Wayne owns much of Gotham, but only one city. Smaug is in the movie. Smaug is 130 meters long, and he swims in like a lake of, he lives in that massive mine just full of gold.
Oh, man.
So, Smaug apparently worth $62 billion.
So he's the man, eh? Smaug
Which, by the way, at $62 billion, makes him significantly poorer than Elon Musk, who's worth like $300 billion. So,
Wow. Right, my multiple choice fact. Yeah, have you heard of the Amber Room?
no, I don't know. What that
It's
is. I mean,
in,
that sounds like somewhere you go for strippers, right? Like,
It is. The
Nice.
Amber Room is a treasure of mine. I go and watch strippers. No, it's a
the stripper's name is Treasure.
It's Amber. Naughty. The Catherine Palace in St. Petersburg had a beautiful room called the Amber Room. Lots of big panels of amber, which is a kind of fossilized resin.
Right.
And they were all gold leaf, kind of backed in gold leaf, and it was crazy beautiful. And of course, the
It
Nazis.
sounds Trump-esque, if I'm honest. It sounds a bit ostentatious, like
Was there
a
before
solid
Trump?
gold toilet. No one needs a solid amber room. Just
Yeah.
like you don't need a solid gold toilet.
Yeah.
It's just ostentation, really.
Ugh,
You can't buy class, is what I'm saying.
Well, so the Nazis pulled into Russia, plundered it, and was taken to a town in Russia with a D. Not sure, not Dusseldorf, something else.
No,
something.
Dusseldorf is in Germany.
That's what I meant. The Nazis took it back to
To a
Germany.
town in Germany.
Germany,
Not
with
a
a D,
town in Russia.
Not
Okay,
Dusseldorf.
right.
And then the Allies bombed it. No one knows. It's lost, sadly. But my question is, it wasn't built in St. Petersburg. Where was it built? In which city was the Amber Room?
So it was built and then
Built?
transported to St.
Yes,
Petersburg.
built and then taken apart, a bit like IKEA. I
Yeah,
believe,
like an IKEA thing.
and then
yeah.
it moved there. And then,
So that makes me want to say Sweden. Like they dismantled. But
that's very
where
funny.
would
your four options are Paris, Berlin, Vienna, London.
So I like to think London is too poor. I like to think also that Berlin, they're too classy. So it's
Really?
Vienna or Paris. These are both ostentatious as fuck cities, right?
Yeah.
These are both cities
Yeah.
where they do not give. They will gold leaf a house. They do not care. They do not care. The wealth in these places is
I wanna
disgusting.
go
Give
to
it
Vienna.
back.
You've
Give
gone
it
to
back,
Vienna.
Give it back.
You've been to Vienna.
Yeah, if you're from Vienna, you've got a gorgeous city. Give us money, please. Just 1%. Just 1% of Vienna's total wealth.
I want to see more Austrians in Cape Town.
There's a lot of Austrians in Cape Town.
Are
You know where there's a lot of Austrians is in Argentina, but that was really after the 1940s.
Really? Did they also try and bolt?
They all fled to Argentina. Yeah.
Crazy.
Now, Argent.
You're good at
Is
working
it
this
Paris?
shit out.
Is it Paris or is it Austria? Both of them are disgusting. I mean, both of them. I'm gonna go Austria. I'm gonna go Austria simply on the basis that Austria just strikes me as the kind of like city that would build a solid amber room.
Yeah. Shucks, man. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that you're wrong. It was one of the Prussian kings, Frederick Wilhelm something, built the Amber Room and then gave it as a gift to Peter the Great
Okay.
of Russia.
Who was probably his brother or his cousin or something.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they spoke French in the Russian
You see
royalty.
the photos of like the King Georges, the Wilhelms, the Peters from Russia. They all look the same. They're all
Yeah.
these bearded dudes. They're all the same family. It's all the same genes.
Plus Her Majesty was Hanoverian. Eh?
Well, exactly.
See there.
Exactly.
See there. So it was built in Berlin, and as a gift, the Frederick something of Prussia gave it to Peter the Great, and it was installed.
Built in Berlin.
Yeah, was installed in the Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg, and of course plundered by the Nazis, and they don't know where it's gone. All that stuff, bombed by the Allies. Not sure where
So
it
it's
is.
probably gone.
But they have reconstructed it quite splendidly, very similarly.
Oh, you mean they recreated rather than reconstructed? Because they didn't find the pieces scattered all over.
No,
the place, did they?
not that.
Yeah, so
They're
they
trying to
recreated
recreate
it, okay.
Yeah. The Amber Room, the famous. I want to go there. St. Petersburg, the Amber Room, the Catherine Palace. Meet you there Friday night, 8 p.m.
I don't think it's a good idea to go there right now. No. Just at the moment, Russia's a little bit, it's off the travel list. Just for now.
Forgot that.
Just for a little while, yeah. So maybe we go to Mavericks here in Cape
Town.
That's a treasure. Instead.
That's a lovely treasure, hey?
Yeah, we got Mavericks. Got a Mavericks on Friday instead of going to the Amber Room.
I'll see you guys at Mavericks at 8. Thank you. Has that come to the end? Oh,
that's it. That's the end.
It's a real treasure.
This
this episode. It's lovely.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's been left unexplored. There's a lot of treasure that's out there still to be found. 100 years from now, people are going to say they found all the treasure. They're definitely going to have found the Dorothea.
Actually getting lazy.
Yeah.
No one's looking for the Dorothea. They're lazy.
Yeah. In the 1940s, people were camped on that beach at St. Lucia.
Yeah.
There's in little canvas tents. They were staying there for weeks to go look for the treasure of the Dorothea. When did anybody go and stay in Sudwana for weeks?
Yeah.
No one. only a hippo. Go and stay there, not for weeks though. You'll go mad.
I'm scared of the hippos on the beach and the crocs in the lagoon.
That's right.
You get out there, man. You snorkel.
And remember, You owe us 1%. Yeah. That's, I think, what we,
1%. Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much. Please click like, subscribe. Please write a comment. Tell your friends. Please, we need other friends. Lots and lots of other friends.
Thanks to our 4 listeners of the podcast. We really appreciate you. We love it. 4.
Many more than
Many
that,
more.
Ryan. Many more than that now, Ryan. Yeah. You're stuck in about week 2. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
I'm out of beer, Ryan.